A very good afternoon, everybody. Today is the second day of our presentations. PhD coursework presentations are going on. And today we have presentations on general area of research. Yesterday, you all made presentations on research methodology. And tomorrow, you are going to make on specific area of your research. But today, a general area of your research. And let me share a screen to see the list of presenters and their topics. Okay, so we'll start today with Tamsa's presentation on internet censorship, followed by Reena's on Universal Declaration of Human Rights, followed by Nrupa on muted group theory. Nidhi will make presentation on new queer cinema in India. Disha's presentation on Bharat's theory of Rasa, a pioneering concept in Indian poetics. And finally, Daya will make presentation on Ecocriticism, a study of environmental issues in literature. So let us start with the first presentation of the day. Tamsa, you can come and start with the presentation.
Okay, so very good afternoon to everyone. Today, yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is but taking time. Yes. Oh, it is opened here. It will take time, perhaps. Yes. Yes. Now, okay. So very good afternoon to everyone. Today is the second day of our general paper, and today I'm going to present the first presentation of the day. And my topic is internet censorship, whether to boom or to ban. That is the question. So first of all, let us go with the definition that what is the internet censorship exactly is. We know the various aspects and the other definitions and theories of censorship, but internet censorship is a more of kind of a zeitgeist kind of things for us. So first, internet censorship means the control or suppression of what we can be assessed, published, or view on the internet. A very simple language in a simple language that what the control or suppression of what we can assess through internet, or what we can publish, and what the view on the internet. It is the most basic form. Internet censorship refers to restrictions to viewing certain information and content on the web. It is commonly imposed by governments to prevent people, especially children, for accessing electric content. As we all know that government is a more in a power that they can control us. Okay, we as we know that we all have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but still we have a reasonable restrictions over us. Government or any authority connected with the constitution can complain us, or can ban our content also. This internet censorship is more of kind of related to the children pornography and everything, because when I was wondering for my topic, there is a ample examples of children pornography and children assault I have gone through. So I found that internet censorship is more about the on children's perspective. So why internet censorship is necessary in today's era? Why? As we know that this is the 21st century era, and we all are using. I think all of us are using internet widely. Okay, so nowadays also we need the internet censorship also. Nowadays censorship, the term censorship is not only related or concentrated on the book banning or censoring films or books and other written materials. There are also aspects of internet which we are supposed to ban or we are supposed to restrict to read. Okay, so first is regulations are necessary. If internet censorship is necessary today's area, just because of regulations are necessary for it. Second, child pornography and fake news. Other things will come by following slides. Okay. Okay. First, freedom of speech versus internet censorship. As I told you already, that of course we have freedom of speech and expression, but still there are internet censorship is also important. Freedom of speech and expression, fundamental right under the Part 3, Article 19(1)(a) in the of Constitution. This is the basic knowledge of Constitution where the fundamental rights of freedom of speech is written. All the times we come wherever our content are restricted or banned, our written book are banned, we just come with the flag that oh my god, my book is banned or my literature is restricted or prohibited. But we know and we always fly off fact that we have freedom of expression, we have freedom of speech. But listen, under the Article 19, right to freedom of expression and speech, in the same article, the application of reasonable restrictions are also mentioned. There is already mention of reasonable restrictions by the government on the authorities which connected with the constitutional works. Well, we have reasonable restrictions and we have right of government to restrict our work reasonably. The status of India's overall internet freedom as a partly free has not been changed since 2009, but Section 69B have directly attacked on the previous definitions of Article 90 on Indian Constitution. As I mentioned before, Article 19 is a freedom of speech expression, but Article 69B is also saying that government have the overall and ultimate power on the people. It means we are talking about our freedom of speech, we are saying that we have free freedom of expression, but ultimate power is totally handed over by the government. So it is the breaking of constitutional fundamental rights itself. So now we are jumping to child pornography. There is no trust more scared than one the world holds with the children. There is no duty more important than ensuring that their rights are respected, that their welfare is protected, that their lives are free from fear and they grow in peace. That we can say the welfare of children, because child pornography is now in a much craze of on the internet censorship. So, how we study child pornography? There is a blast of child sex and entertainment showcase. Okay, internet invocations including person to person communication sites and record sharing. Okay, these are the various platforms where child assaulting and the sexual activities with child are happening and sharing by the people on the various platforms. As we all know, we can just go and search, we will find lot many thing about it. Child pornography pictures, photograph sharing, gaming gadgets, even portable applications where the child pornography and photograph of child, whether it is naked or any sexual activities happening with them, it is openly for even for us, for people like us, and for children also. They can also watch and see. So, what about the constitutional rights on it? Section 40 of the POSCO Act 2012, which is working on the child sexuality, against the child sexuality, and also Section 67B of IIT Act, most important in exclusively deal with the issue of child pornography. Fake news. When I was reading Salman Rushdie's, I have main two texts written by Salman Rushdie. At that time, I have seen this picture where we can know that fake news is a strategy of war. Okay, fake news can be false information, photos, or videos purposefully created to confuse or misinform. As I told you that I have gone through with this image, Salman Rushdie, I come to know that even I'm doing on censorship, my writer also is being victim of these kinds of fake news. That is why I took example of Salman Rushdie, and there is a tweet regarding the fake news which prevailed on Salman Rushdie. Politics of internet. This is the most important topic of our proud presentation. If you want to liberate people, give them internet by government. If you want to liberate the people, just give them internet. Now the definition of liberty and the definition of freedom has completely changed. We all have our own internet connection, and we can 24 by 7 holding it and doing internet surfing on various topics. Okay, people selectively censor online content. They challenges their political beliefs. Okay, this is the topic on the politics, so we can say that people selectively censor. Okay, now we are talking on the censorship, and what grounds censorship are working. If it is related to politics, the topic is we selectively censor. If something I'm supporting Bhajap, and if anything written on the sides of Congress, whether it is right opinion or wrong, I will directly censor. Or the group of people will give spam. For Instagram, we will give spam. Okay, what is that? It is a group of people where your opinion doesn't match with the other or opposite party. You will try to block them. That is the misuse of censorship. People block online authors of the post they disagree with. If suppose I'm disagree with Salman Rushdie himself, okay, then what I'll do, I'll prepare 4 or 3 people and make a group, and then I'll tell give them some or give the request to block him or her and content, because his or her opinion doesn't value for me, and my opinion is something more biased. When beliefs are rooted in identity, selective censoring is amplified. My identity, I'm Brahmin, I'm Patel, I'm whatever. Okay. When there is a good thing regarding any other identity or other society, other cultural elements, then if my beliefs are hurting, okay, then what I'll do, my community people will attack. How will they attack? If personally they will attack with the weapons, and on the online media they will give this request to spam, block, or any censorship criteria where the people can be blocked and the content will be blocked. So my rooted feelings and my identity getting hurt. That is my personal opinion getting hurt. That is why we selectively block others' opinion, which is in a way right also sometimes. Selective censoring occurred even for comments without offensive language. Okay, the definition of censorship says that if there is any written or printed book consist of offensive language, or any online sources consist of offensive language or sexual and anything, you should block. But what we block politically, that selective censoring occur when the comments without offense, if there is no offensive language is written, still we block it, because as I told you, my personal opinion or your and my community's personal opinions and political agreements are hurts. I'm disagree, so I block. So I request for censoring. For example, Such a Long Journey, novel by Rohinton Mishra. This is my text which I'm going to do PhD on. Rohinton Mishra, Such a Long Journey. What actually Rohinton Mishra did is he presented the negative portrayal of India regarding poverty, regarding cultural customs, and all the things which are dirtiness of India. So our personal sentiments are getting hurt. So we banned the book. Okay, why? The reason is it contains offensive language. It contains the personal and religious sentiment hurting kind of things, so we ban it. That is the more of a relatable or relevant example for our political disagreement. And there are two main other examples. For in 99 there is an incident of politics of internet in India, of the war of Kargil, where the Pakistani daily newspaper down was restricted. Okay, there is other example where politically this was restricted on the time of Kargil war. Another is the Mumbai attack 2018, which was happened on the Taj Hotel. Okay, where government feel need to limiting the freedom of internet because of the reason the central government brought amendment to previously exciting Information Technology Act 2000. Okay, at the time where people are profoundly talking too much about the Muslim and the because there is the terrorist of Muslim. Okay, at that time government should restricted freedom of speech, that you are not supposed to uh, uh, prevail this kinds of news, whether it is fake or right. At that time fake news were spread too much. So these are the two examples. And thank you. These are my resources or works I did. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes, Tamsa, it was very good presentation by you. My question to you is that how can a balance be struck between protecting users from harmful content and ensuring free access to information online? Is there any way of
Education. First of all, the first way is educate right things to study. We are now mature enough, but the small children who are studying in primary, they don't know what I supposed to watch or what I supposed to imply for me. Okay, give them right education. Or sometimes you can find if you're 80 plus, then only after you're crossing this age, you will able to assess it. So this kind of restrictions are also will be there. Okay. Other question? Anyone?
It is very informative presentation given by you. My question is similar to Daya, that what are the preventive measures we as a scholar can take against the child sexuality?
For us, I was planning to take this as a topic because it is widely spread on internet, but just because it is more of a disconnected with the literature, you won't find anything about child abusement and child sexuality kind of things in our past. Whatever books I am taking, it not contains this kind of contents. But if you are talking, then we can specially take this kinds of topic of child pornography and everything as a part of internet censorship. It is also the kind of censorship topic also. Okay, in this topic of censor, there is a various topics in censorship. You can take anything, whether it is political, religion, social, cultural, anything. But this is also the digital humanities kind of topic, so you can take and in subtopic you can take this child pornography.
How we can prevent it?
How we can prevent it? As I told you, Daya, also that kind of age restrictions will be there. Give them right teaching, whether you are parents or whether you are teacher. Teach them what to see, what to take, and how to represent their self as a more mature child. That cultivation should be important for the children.
That's I have a question.
Yes, of course.
If we are teaching a student that don't do such a things,
Yes.
okay, that how many students will go to follow your instructions? Like, for instance, have you ever gone through with an porn movie or pornography?
No, but this kind of topics I have taught in one lecture. So even I told students that some kind of maturity and some kind of level of understanding you have to develop.
But after you are giving information, okay, for
Yes.
instance, you are giving information in your classroom, your students.
Yes, yes,
Then somebody from your class even don't know what does it means by.
yes,
So
of
you are
course.
giving information. So this is one kind of disadvantages, okay?
Yes.
That student don't know, and while you are giving information, they are going to watch this. That what kind of the step we should take for this kind of disadvantages.
Aware them with the constitutional right, because there is a lot many penalties also. Okay, if a child is under the age, then there is a kind of a penalty which is apply on them. So make them aware that if you will do, then you may be caught by the this kind of thing, and you have to pay penalties also. Okay, because on the other hand, I won't go to their phone and check that whether you are watching or not and what they are doing. It is their own it depends on their own interest. Yes, of course, interest and the level of maturity. But some kinds of implication and awareness, if we prevail with the students, they may think that if we will do, then we will caught with the some constitutional things or penalty kind of things. I hope I'm clear with you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for your question. Any other?
Disha, if you want to ask, you can reply in the form.
You sure, sir?
Next.
Okay, good afternoon, all of you. Uh, Today, paper 2, General Area of Research. My presentation is on Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So, first of all, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a foundation document adopted by the United Nations in 1948. It outlines the fundamental rights and freedoms that apply universally to all individuals. So, first of all, when we are gathered here to talk about, when we are talking about the universal human rights, we have to be very clear that what is UDHR and UN, what is the difference. So United Nations has created one document, it is called Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In that, under that, they are talking about the 30 basic ideas of human rights. So the term United Nations human rights refers to the broader framework and mechanisms of established by the UN to promote and protect human rights, including various treaties, conventions, agencies, and initiatives. The UDHR is specific declaration context of the UN's efforts to uh, rights to the worldwide. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1948, was the first legal document to set out the fundamental human rights to be universally protected. The UDHR, which turned 75 in this current year, it continues to be the foundation of all international human rights law. Its 30 article provided the principles and building blocks of current and future human rights convention, treaties, and other legal instruments. So when the world found that their need of any kind of union or institution which we survive for the human rights, they gathered at one umbrella and they created institution like UDHR. Yes, so it engages with preamble and 30 articles, not legally blinding or not treaty. It is conscience of humanity and dignity, just as the central rights of all the is dignity of human. So, what is there in preamble? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights preamble expresses the fundamental principle of human dignity, equality, and justice. It emphasizes the importance of protecting individuals' rights and freedom without discrimination, promoting peaceful coexistence, and striving for a world where everyone enjoys this rights. Yes, when we are not facing such kind of rights, we are not even aware about it yet. Yes, but even in many countries where people are lacking of many basic rights, yes, they are not getting a good health, even a good food and shelter for life. So that is why we need uh, this declaration. So here is the list of the 30 articles given by Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Here they are talking mostly about equality, discrimination, and freedom of freedom of slavery, then no torturing, and personal law, then equality before the law, right to obtain a legal help. The image is very symbolical. You can see that everyone is same under one umbrella. Yes, that everyone is same on the earth, whether they are black, white. So there should be no color, class, or gender discrimination. And it continues, that freedom of arbitrary arrest and exile, right to trial and trials should be public, right to be considered innocent until it proven guilty, freedom from interference from privacy, family, home, and correspondence, right to free movement in and out of the country, right to asylum in other countries from persecution. Yes, they can get asylum, right of asylum, right to nationality and the freedom to change it, right to marriage and family. Yes, anyone of un, under this rule, everyone is having the same right. And it continues like right of right to own property, freedom of belief and religion, freedom of opinion and information. In previous presentation you have seen that article 19, yes, that giving the uh, freedom of speech. It is the same like freedom of opinion and information, right of peaceful assembly and association, right to participate in government and in free elections, right to social security, right to desirable work and to join trade unions, and right to rest and leisure. Anyone can take holidays. There is right to rest and leisure. Means legal. It is legally approved. And so right to adequate living standard. Yes, everyone should get a healthy and happier life. Right to education, right to participate in cultural life of community, rights to social order that articulates this document. Community duty is essential to free and full development, freedom from state or personal interference in above rights. It means from above any rights. If anyone is interfering, then you have right that you can take steps against them. So to deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. Yes, so we can't deny anyone by getting their basic human rights. So, objectives that the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights collectively aim to achieve several objectives like protection of rights, equality and non discrimination, personal freedom, fair legal process, social and economic well being, participation and democracy, and cultural and intellectual development. These are the concern or the central theme that we can say that everyone should protect. One's own and others' right also. So, with conclusion, we can say that I urge all those involved to set aside and entertain and positions, power games, and their personal interest. Focus on the common interest of the sadness people. This is a quote given by Volker Turk in UN, who is a High Commissioner of Human Rights. Yes, so he is talking about that everyone should pay attention on the equality and the dignity of the human. That is the first thing that we need to discuss. All other things like whatever going in the world, we can see that war and all these things. So we should keep it aside, and first we have to talk about and we have to focus about the common interest of the Sudanese of people. Yes, any questions?
Yes, it was very good and new topic to interact with the presentation. I want to ask you that how does the Universal Declaration of Human Rights promote equality and non-discrimination? What steps can be taken by the Declaration of Human Rights?
Is under that declaration, all the United Nations countries are taking steps that they are aware about this right. Is that in all the countries, this right should be taken in a positive way. That everyone how to follow this rule. If it is not happening, then any steps can be taken against. There are certain laws and punishment for that, so that can be done.
Okay, Reena, it was quite good presentation.
Very slow internet
Yes.
is there.
Okay, so in case anyone's posted YouTube posted, I have posted.
So you can
Yeah, I posted, but my internet.
do it a little bit early.
Yes.
Yes, it was about all about human rights, right? But it happens that in society, many people are yet not aware about this kind of human rights. So one means for that awareness can be a book of literature, a work of literature. So can you give an example of any writer or any book who is talking about this kind of human rights? You see, there are many books which is not particularly talking about, like directly they are not talking about the human rights, but in a way their central theme is like that only. Like in many work, we can say that violence against human. Yes, so there is one book of my research only, that A Thousand Splendid Suns of Khalid Hosseini, where the central character Mariam is facing so many abusation from his husband and violence from society. So we can say that there are several books, and in the early age, if we see, then Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen and Jane Eyre. That book is Charlotte Bronte. So this kind of the books, and even Virginia Woolf's books you can see. And if we go furthermore from that feminist reading, there they are talking about only women's right. Many other books are also that they are talking about the other rights, like African, no, that Diary of Anna Frank, which is talking about her horrifying experience of that in life in Holocaust, even in Man's Search for Meaning, where Viktor Frankl is talking about his own experience of Holocaust during that Nazi war. Yes.
Okay, Rita. So, in case anyone's rights are getting hurt, okay, as we are talking about the human rights, is there any consequences to save their rights or to give them justice, whether it is mentioned in this United Nations Human Rights?
Yes, there are 30 articles. In that, one article is there that we can take actions against them. But until they are innocent, we can't take any actions. Once they proven guilty, you can take actions against it. Example is like that there is a uh, right of freedom. Yes, anyone can go anywhere. Right of freedom. But if you are found guilty, if you have done something wrong, then there is restrictions upon you. There is punishment for and such kind of the things for that. So that human rights or rights of freedom are not applicable to you at that time. So this thing can be.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
strategy.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My second presentation in general area of research is muted group theory. So there are outlines. First, introduction, definition, who invited MGT, key feature, and last is example of muted group theory. It is a short form of MGT. So first is a introduction. Mute group theory say that the English language devalues the words, thoughts, and experience of marginalized group. This is because language is made and controlled by dominant group. So first, our women's language are invited by dominant group in a male dominant. Okay. The theory mainly focus on gender, how language marginalize and silence women. However, it can also be used to explain the experience of women, color, disabled people, LGBTQI, etc. So definition is the theory state that language was mainly made by men. It therefore seems to more effectively explain men's experience and worldviews. Women often find it harder to express themselves because they have to communicate through a language that was made by opposite gender. Examples are women are often referred to as a property of male. Example taking a man's name in marriage. After marriage, a woman's name was changed. Even sometimes surname was also changed and okay. Men retain of the title of Mr. their whole lives, while women are divided into Miss and Mrs. Uh, before marriage, woman's written title is Miss, and after marriage, it is a Mrs. Whatever, right? Third is woman's sexuality is spoken of negatively, while men's sexuality is spoken of positively. Women have spent their whole lives trying to translate their thoughts into masculine metaphors in order to express themselves to others. Who invented MGT, muted group theory. The theory was firstly invented by Edwin and Shelley Adner in 1975. Edwin Adner wrote a short essay outlining the theory title is a belief and the problem of woman, in which he outlined that he sees as the problem. The Adner was cultural anthropologist. The Adner says that anthropographers have a historical privileged man's view. This has led to a silencing of women's history and viewpoint of theory. So the reason behind this silencing of woman view is that the male point of view has constantly been seen as a norm. It is continue. In the 1980s, some other invited MGT and comments Karmare brought MGT to feminist communication study. Karmare argued that language is cultural bond. In other words, language is a neutral. Has been made by cultural that has been historical masculine and privileged masculine views. West and Turner explained that there are some strategy marginalized group can use to avoid being muted. So there are Western and Turner explain their strategy is explicitity problem. What when language muted people celebrate and promote marginalized language practice. Third is a change language by coming up with inclusive words, create new movies, TV show, books, etc. that promote marginalized uh, expression experience. So there are some key features. Karmare made three key points. Language was made by dominant group. Women have historically been seen as an inferior social group. They have been depicted in media as subservient, restricts from position of power and rights to take on roles and housewives, while men do work to create and shaping language practice. Marginalized group can find it harder to articulate themselves. In default way of talking is in the masculine firemen, policemen, postmen, etc., which has made it harder for minority and women to articulate themselves. We often say that they have less linguistic agency. Third is marginalized group have to translate their thoughts before speaking. From a very young woman have to see things from a man's perspective. They have to translate their thought into a way that acceptable to men before speaking publicly. There are some examples of muted group theories. Explain women's heart attack symptoms. Example in medicine, we mostly heard about men's heart attack, and we all know about men's heart attack symptoms. We don't know about women's heart attack symptoms. They both are different. So historical medicines has considered heart attack symptoms only from men's perspective. To this day, we tend to think of heart attack symptoms as heaviness of on the chest and numbs in the left arm. However, since paying more attention to women experience, medical researchers have realized that women typically have different heart attack symptoms such as tightness in the jaw. To this day, society tend to pay more attention to heart attack symptoms that affect men than those that affect women. This makes it harder to quickly diagnose and identify women heart attacks. Second is linguistic subordination of women in marriage. Karmare argued that women are often linguistically subordinate to men. Women are defined in relation to their husbands, Mrs. X. Historical take their husband's surname. They tend to be referred as a someone's wife rather than having their own autonomous identify. After divorce, woman's identity, someone's wife, Mrs. X, whatever. But, okay. Derogatory language about men's sexuality. While men's sexual exports are often celebrated, women are seen negatively if they have too many sexual partners. Women are usually seen as a promiscuous and sexually deviant if they are known to have made more than one sexual partners. Fourth is masculine metaphors. Metaphors like covering all bases, ballpark figure beaten to the punch, right off the bat, etc. All are tend to be associated by male dominant. Fifth is in the workplace. Workplace are usually too masculine authority figure. When women move into a position of power, they often need to emulate masculine way of being the boss in order to take seriously by their employee and colleagues. Six is in popular culture. Recently, there has been a big push to include marginalized voice in television, books, and movies. This has been a conscious effort to make language and communication more effectively. It will give voice to marginalized people and help them reclaim language. So, there are my references. Thank you.
Yes, Nrupa. My question is that how does the muting process occur and what are its methods?
Okay, so several scholars, student have a research in this topic. According to Turner and West, there are there are four method. So first is ridiculous. Third is ritual. Fourth is harassment, and last one is okay.
And in your presentation, you have given examples of MGT, that
Yeah.
muted group theory. In that number four, the example masculine metaphors. Can you do that? Can you explain that one four number example? Huh.
PPT માં ફરી
Yes.
You can show it.
Shade.
Doesn't have to reopen
yes.
That fourth one.
Okay, masculine metaphors. Metaphors like covering all bases. We see men dominant are.
Yes, you can.
ઓકે તો આપણે જોઈએ છીએ કે આપણી આજુબાજુ કે આપણા ઉપર જ્યારે એટેક થાય છે મેલ ડોમિનન્ટ થ્રુ તો આપણે જે આપણા ઉપર હાવી જે થતા હોય છે કે એ જ બેસ્ટ છે એ જ મહાન છે લાઈક દેટ કે ક્યાંય આપણને આગળ ના આવવા દે ઇવન આપણે જોઈએ જોબમાં આપણી જોબમાં જોઈએ તો આપણે ઇવન કોઈના બોસ બનીએ તો આપણી નીચે કોઈ મેલ ડોમિનેટ કામ કરતો હોય તો એને બી
Feelings.
હાય દેટ ઇઝ
actually. Okay, so Nrupa, it was a quite good presentation from your side. Now, how many tenets are there of mutate theory? Which are there? Actually, I was confused in the mutate theory tenets in between.
Okay. So there are three types of tense in muted truth theory. First is acceptability. Second is subordination, and third is dominance. Thank you.
So hello everyone, myself Nidhi Jethava, and today we are presenting our second paper. Okay, it is a general area, and I'm going to present about the new queer cinema in India. So these are the table of contents, like what we are going to talk about or what I'm going to give the information for. So here, first step is what is the queer theory. Second step is the what does mean by the queer cinema. What does mean by the Indian queer cinema, and we will discuss some of the good example and some of the good movies that consist the theme of LGBT. So first, what is queer theory? So according to M.H. Abraham, queer theory is often used to designate the combined area for gay and lesbian study, together with the theoretical and critical writing about all the modes of variance, such as cross-dressing, bisexual, transsexuality from the society's normative model of the sexual identity, orientation, and activities. The term queer was originally derogatory, used to stigmatize male and female same sex love as a deviant and unnatural. Since the early 1990s, however, it has been adopted by the gay and lesbians themselves as the non individuals term to identify the way of life and area for the scholarly inquiry. And the Teresa de Luis was the is a prominent theorist in a queer theory. So, what is the queer cinema? So, according to Michael Aaron, new queer cinema is the name given to the wave of a queer film that gained critically acclaim on the festival circuit in earlier 1990s. Coined and largely chronicled by the film theorist R. Ruby Rich, new queer cinema or NQC represented the exciting prospect that lesbian and gay images and filmmaker had turned a corner, no longer bound by approval seeking a sketchcloths of positive imagery or the relative obscurity of the marginal productions. Films could be both radical and popular, stylish and economically viable. Now, what does mean by the Indian queer cinema? So we have seen that this norm, okay, or this new queer cinema was begins in a European country, but how it creates an impact in the country like India. So regarding India, while the term new queer cinema has been primarily associated with the American cinema, and there has been a growing interest and visibility of LGBTQ theme in Indian cinema as well. Over the years, there have been notable films that have explored the queer narratives and portrayal LGBTQ character with a great sensitivity and depth. Indian filmmaker and artists have been increasing exploring the complexities of the LGBT experiences and shedding light on the challenges faced by the community. These films often challenges the stereotypes, provide a more nuanced understanding of the diverse identities, and attempt to create empathy and understanding among the audience. So I hope you all at least have gone through with one movie that discusses the idea of LGBT. Okay, and I just checked many times with many people that some of people even don't know the full name of the LGBTQ, and now it is tagged as the LGBTQA plus. So this LGBTQA plus is not only for the gay, lesbian, bisexual, but there are 72 subordinates in that particular community. So in our mind or in our social life, we are just knowing about the two genders, okay, male and female, but now we are talking about the third gender because the help of cinema, because cinema is the medium with the help of we can change the perception of a human being, because it is a with the help of cinema we can do lots of things, because it is a visual and audio medium. So there is no need to give a concentration. For instance, if we want to read a book, it will take a time, but if we want to watch a movie, it will take a time only 2 or 4 or 3 hours. So it is very, if we want to represent anything that is very, sensuous or sensitive or derogatory or some kind of the odd thing, so media is the good things or the cinema is a good thing to represent. So with the help of cinema, um, we'll be able to bring a positive as well as negative changes regarding this community. So now let us discuss the some remarkable or considerable example of a movie that changing the perception of the queer cinema in the Indian cinema. So some of the important movie Fire was first released in 1996, and second is My Brother Nikhil, third is Bombay Talkies, and fourth is Aligarh. These all movie are very old, and at some time it is very derogatory for the audience. But slowly and steadily we learned that the acceptance of that third gender community should be among us. And now we have seen that in July 2023, the world is celebrate the queer month, the whole queer month. So world is looking for that particular community, their acceptance, and in India also, the case study is going on to acceptance of the same-sex marriages. So like every particular era has particular issue, and in a 21st century, the burning issue is that acceptance of the LGBT people in society. And if they are getting a legally acceptance, but socially it would be always questionable, because we have not that kind of broadness of mind to accept them. For instance, we'll allow for instance in Bhavnagar we allow to make a neighbor such a couple who are belonging a lesbian community or the gay community. No, because we think that our particular sanskar or particular conventions get hurt, our emotions get hurt because our eyes is not used to with such a scenario. So this is a very derogatory or burning issue for that particular community because we are not considering him as a human. We are just focusing on their gender, not their humanity. So first movie is a Fire. Fire was released in 1996, and when Fire was released, cinema theater was burned by the audience because it has discussing the issue of a lesbian relationship. The movie Fire by Deepa Mehta to investigate the deeper understanding of the same-sex desire in a patriarchal world, which is at the same time heteronormative. This was one of the first movie in the Indian cinema to broach such a topic, and like an extraordinary art had to face the ire of the people and was banned for a long time. Until the date, if you are searching Fire on YouTube, you won't be able to get a full movie. My brother Nikhil. My brother Nikhil was the first to have focus on the homosexuality in India. Despite this claim, the film articulate a gay subjectivity as an emerging form of the global right-based perspective. It is argued, and it is this movie also discussing the theme of AIDS. Now, Bombay Talkies. So, Bombay Talkies is also a very interesting movie, which was released in 2023. So, Bombay Talkies has a fourth story, and first and the fourth story discussing this homosexuality. So, resisting the righteous impressive of the assimilations, acceptance, and balanced sociality, queer subjectivity in the Bombay Talkies appear to constructed through a far more oppositional matrix. In the other word, the film take the abnormality or its queer characters so fully for the granted that it does not for one seek to portray them in a unrealistic, sympathetic, or the flattering term. It also broadens the discourse of the queer representation by exploring hitherto uncharted themes of the transgender identity, cross-dressing, and the unfixed perennial shifting relationship between sexuality and biology. This is a special significance in the context of the mass media representation in India, where the cross-dressing is the variably a figure of the myth and the derision. In effective, this through-going departure, Bombay took its foreground what I or Samir Chopra provisionally term a negative aesthetic. On that conceptualization queer as he focuses on the radical retirization's difference rather than a rehabilitative sameness. Now, Aligarh. It is also interesting movie which was released in 2016. Aligarh is the story about one professor who is working in a Marathi department at Aligarh Muslim University. So, if we are watching this movie, we come to know about the many issues, politics. But the central of the theme is the identity or the emotions of that particular man. For expressing his emotions with a rickshaw man, he got punished and he got one kind of penalty from the university. Hansal Mehta, the director, and Approval Ansari bring forth the story of Professor Siras on the Indian cinema screen, working delicated on the issue of homosexuality and the struggle the professor had to go through to get his repute and job as a professor back at the university. This movie is a mirror of Indian society and show the mindset of the people of our society, be it a highly educated and university authorities, learned professors, readers, and scholars of the university of the common people of the society. So here are my citations. If anybody has any question.
How you are looking for this presentation of your thinking?
If we are looking the current scenario, I have gone through with the 2 or 3 web series right now. So I have seen that the representation of a queer character is come to the center of the theme. For instance, earlier there were not in the center of the theme. Okay, a story was going, but in a subplot. But now, for movies like Badhai Do, Shubh Mangal Zada Sadhana, these all movies discussing the central of the theme for the queer people. So it is the positive changes that the cinema bring for the human audience. So now we are turning toward the positive attitude toward the LGBT community. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, so it was very nice presentation. You have talked a lot on LGBTQ and all these movies and all these things, but can you shed light on LGBT rights in Muslim countries? What are the scenarios there?
Yeah.
I think it was leaking there, so I
Huh.
don't know how.
Still that country not legalize their identities. Many countries not legalize their identity. If they are caught by such activities, they might get punished and the behavior with them like criminals. So if today till the date in India we are not accepting, so we have there is the discrimination of Article 377 in India, which discusses this is the earlier it was discussing that LGBT is a natural act in India, but now it is a natural act in India. But that country has not this kind of discrimination of any law. So in some Muslim countries, still LGBT are still derogatory. So reveal that particular identity is also very derogatory. So they might get punished, abused, and huh.
So the people are in the Muslim countries, those who are facing this problem, are posting, writing something, anything on media or anything, any way it coming out to the world. Have you come across to
No.
any post, any like that, any videos?
No, I haven't go through such a videos and post from the particular Muslim country that man or
particular one from that community.
no.
Actually, I have gone through this. There is one movie calendar girls where the Muslim girl went from the Pakistan and here she started modeling. And
12 girls and then
yes, 12, and one of them is Muslim. Conservative Muslims right there. And then the way she turned her life as a female prostitute and girl who usually connected with the job of assault and everything. At that time, there is a sequence of the Pakistan country where her boyfriend or her fiancé, husband, whoever there on the opposite side, but he was telling that your name are called as a fatwa. Your name is connected with the fatwa, and no one will accept hear you because fatwa was issued with your name. So that kind of sequences were presented in the film.
That is a reaction of society.
Yes, reaction of Muslim society.
Even they people thinking that we should move some country, there is the legal acceptance of art.
Yes.
For instance, in Aligarh, Professor Siraj that after retirement I will go to America because वो बोलता है कि मेरे जैसे लोगों की acceptance वहाँ ही है. So in India we are not accepting. This is the issue. Like you are not accepting the humanity. Gender is the different thing. It is the social norm. We are defining the gender. Gender is not biological things. Society has decided that she is a male, he is a female, or these kind of things. But what if you are not accepting the human or accept? So it means that you are stealing his or her human rights. So at least we think from the angle of humanity, not from the
this,
gender.
all the human rights which I have talked by Universal Declaration of Human Rights, they are talking about also the same things.
Same things.
So Muslim countries also should take
Steps. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, a very good afternoon to one and all present here. Today's my topic for general area of research is Bharat's theory of Ras, a pioneering concept in Indian poetics. So there are very many poetics schools in Indian poetics. Among them, one is Rasa theory. The theory of Ras, formulated by Bharat, constitutes a pioneering and timeless concept within Indian poetics. This profound theory delves into the intricate relationship between emotions, aesthetics, and narrative, laying the foundation for a comprehensive understanding of the artistic experience. Rooted in the ancient Indian philosophy, the theory of Rasa has significantly influenced literature, theatre, and cultural expressions, underscoring its enduring significance in the realm of creative pursuits. Basically, in Indian poetics, there are two parts. First is Natya, and the second one is Kavya. Natya means it's focusing on the play, which blended drama, music, and dance. And another one is the Kavya. It means poetry or other form of composition in literary art. There are various schools in Indian poetics we will discuss later. And the Natya Sastra by Bharat Muni, and Bharat Muni himself is considered as the oldest and pioneer work in Indian poetics, especially on the stagecraft. And Pandit Jagannath is the recent scholar in Indian poetics. These are the schools in Indian poetics. Specifically, first one is the Rasa theory, pioneered by Bharat Muni in his magnum opus works Natya Sastra. Dhvani or the Sphota theory in Dhvanya Loka by Anandvardhan. Vakrokti by Kuntak in his Vakrokti Jivita. Alankara theory by Bhamaha in Kavyalankara. Many of these theories are discussed by other scholars as well, but I am taking the name of the seminal works only. Ochitra by Kshemendra in Ochitya Vichara Charcha, Riti by Vamana in Kavyalankara Sutra, and the last one is not the particular work, but it is the commentary on Natya Sastra and Dhvanya Loka by Abhinav Gupta in his Abhinav Bharati Lokana. So, if you look at the Rasa theory, what does the Rasa theory mean? It is the aesthetic feeling that is created or to be created in a reader or the spectator. If you are reading a book, then in reader, that if it is a play and it is performed on a stage or on a television or YouTube, then you are a spectator, and that feeling is created in you while witnessing an effective presentation or the performance of the art. Bharat Muni in his Natya Sastra discuss about this Ras theory in specific chapters like chapter number 6, 7, 15, and 16. Evaluating a work of art from Rasa theory in focus includes analysis of various elements in the work like language, characterization, presentation, and other literary devices to see how emotional response can be evoked in the reader or the spectator. It focuses on entire the literary process. It is not just focusing on the reader or spectator, because if you look at the process of composition of any work of art, then we can imply the Rus theory there as well. A poet or the writer will come across anything in the world through his or her senses, the first level. Then the second level is his or her emotions. He or she will attach his emotions with this experience, sensual experience in world, and that he will attach it to his imagination. A common man will just experience through his or her senses and then emotionally connect with it, but a poet will directly connect it to the imagination, and then he will just go through that experience of rust, and then experience is not specific to him or her. For example, if you look at the poem Flea by John Donne, there is one stanza like it sucks me first, and now it sucks thee. In this flea our two bloods mingle be. Means the skin he experienced by this sense, that bite of that flea. The second thing is he is trying to attach this with his emotion for his beloved or wife. At the third level, it will happen to all of us that bite will come and flea will come and bite us, but he is the poet, so he will think of it with his imagination of sexual experience, because that flea will snatch the blood of both the thing, both the person. So he is attaching the biting of flea with the sensual experience, the emotional experience with his wife or the beloved. So his experience is the ras, the particular emotion of love, sringara ras, we can say, through sambhog. Uh, so this process, this emotion is not personal to John Donne only. If there is a couple sitting here and same happens with them, they can also experience the same. So the last step is the sadharanikaran. So ras theory is not focused only on the reader only, we can attach it to the author or composer as well. It is based on the Rasa Sutra given by Bharat Muni. Rasa Sutra is Vibhavanubhava Anubhav Vibhanavubha sorry Vibhavanubhav Vyabhikari Samyoga the Rasa Nispatti. Means the ras is accomplished as a result of the conjunction of Vibhav, Anubhav, Vyabhikari Bhav, which appeals to the Sthayi Bhava, which is already there in all human beings as per the anticipation of Bharat, which leads to the ras experience. Now, if we are talking about Rasa Sutra, that Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhikari, Samyoga, the Rasa Nispati, then we need to understand what is this Vibhav, what is this Anubhav. So, Vibhav means the causes or the reasons or mainsprings of the emotions. It can be of two types, Alamban Vibhav or Udipan Vibhav. Alamban Vibhav means the causes will be a living being like characters in a play, and Udipan Vibhav means setting in a play, means other elements. For example, we are imaging or we are coming across a ghost scene. Can we imagine such technological tools and such lightings in that scene? No, we cannot imagine. But that kind of fluctuation of lights, black cat, this kind of elements can create the emotion very well. So these are the Alamban and Udvipan Vibhavas. Next is Anubhav, means consequences which are expressed through bodily expressions. For example, if anger is there and the heroine is brutally abused or just snapped by her husband, then this attack or to throw the acid, these kind of attacks are bodily expressions, we can say. Vyabhikari about this kind of powers or a series of diverse emotions are not significant individually, they do not have their importance individually, but they fit the dominant emotions. So they are transitory states and they are 33 in numbers. And last one is the Sthayi Bhava. According to Bharat, they are the kings of all the emotions, all the bhavas, and it is the basis of all the experience, rasa experience, and are inborn gifts of men. This is the detailed description in short in this one table. In this table, we have discussed ras. For example, if you take Sringara ras, the sentiment for Sringara ras is erotic. The dominant state is love. Bhav is rati. The color for it, as per the book of Seturaman, color is light green, and the deity is Vishnu. The same is described in this table for all the rasas. Here I have put only 8 ras, but if you will look at the rasa theory, you will find one concept like navarasa. So 8 rasas already were discussed by Bharat Muni in his Natya Sastra, but 9th ras was added as Sant ras by Abhinav Gupta. He has already added this. So this is a theory of a navaras. He added Sant ras. Later on, some theoreticians have also added some rasas which are not widely accepted, but these are Vatsalya ras and Bhakti ras. Vatsalya means our mothers care for us, love and care for us, or friendly care for each other. This kind of rasas are there like Vatsalya, but we cannot include it in ras kind of theory. Another is Bhakti, devotion. So these are not accepted. If any theory is there, people will come and comment, criticize or appreciate. In a same way, Rasa theory has some commentators. The first one and significant is Bhatt Lolat. Most of the commentators have discussed among themselves who experience Ras. You have given the Rasa theory, these things, these are the rasas, these are the process and sutra for Ras. Who experience the Ras? The most point for them is that, and Bhattalolat believed that first, he was the first to attempt a psychological analysis of Ras, and he believed that rasa is produced in an action, means the actor can feel the rasa is produced by the action. Next comes Sri Sankuk. He said that this theory is based on the inference and rasa is experienced by an actor. So somehow they both are similar but in a different way they are thinking about it. Next one is Bhatt Nayak. He said that rasa is neither due to action nor apprehension. Only audience can experience ras. And the most important commentator on ras theory and Dhvanyaloka, Abhinav Gupta, he has joined this view of Bhatt Nayak, but in a different way. He talks about the question that who experience ras, but in a different way. And he agrees with Bhatt Nayak that no doubt audience can experience ras, but not all the audience can experience the ras. Only those who are sahradaya. It means audience who feels the same as the poet has felt earlier when he composed the work of art. Even I would like to add something to it that even sahradaya writers only can create such text. When a poet or writer will write something for the betterment of society to issue to connect to the issues of society, if he or she can feel that particular issue, so Sahradaya concept is given by Abhinav Gupta. These are the process of Ras realization we talked about, but there are some obstacles in Ras theory because of some elements, because of some issues or some concepts. We can not realize the Ras. So there are many hurdles in Ras realization. According to Abhinav Gupta, there are 7 in general. The first one is to simplify this. I have given in bracket the English name for these obstacles. The first one is lack of imagination. For example, if you are reading James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl, it is totally based on imagination because there is one giant peach bigger than our class. Can we imagine that? If we are good in imagination, then we can feel that. We can experience that rasa which he wants to evoke in ourselves. But if we think, oh, this is a joke, can it be? Can it possible? Is it possible to have such a giant pitch? No, we cannot realize in such a way. Second one is time and place. uh, it should be taken care from the side of the author that if you or the presenter of the drama, if you are presenting an historical event or the ancient event and you are showing technological tools like this, it will not relate. You need to use adequate means of presenting the time and place. If you are showing the scene of court, then you have to put that kind of manners and that kind of etiquettes and all these things. The next is presence of private grief or joy. If you are here watching a comic movie, a comedy movie, very much or full of hasyaras, but before an hour you have a big fight with your husband, your boyfriend, or your father or mother, would you be able to realize that sense? No. And in another way, you can think like, I will feel relief. I will forget that particular fight. But it is not possible in the all the cases. And next one is absence of adequate means. Another is language or the ambiguity. Language should be clear cut. It should not be full of ambiguity. Sixth one is unity of tone or the theme. Abhinav Gupta says that a writer should allow the reader to understand what kind of emotion you are trying to evoke in himself. Do not confuse him or her. And last one is doubt in general, means these are the specific obstacles and overall doubt in general, then you cannot realize the rust. These are the techniques to read a text from the Rasa point of view. Close reading, you can go for textual analysis, reader response, and comparative analysis. Basically, there are too many techniques to analyze a work of art from Rus theory, but I have taken this for keeping in mind to analyze any work of art as a reader, not as a spectator. So, I have mentioned these techniques. To conclude, Bharat's Ras theory stands as a pioneering concept in Indian poetics. However good a theory may be, it faces some challenges or limitations. Like a living thing, a theory also grows, changes, modifies itself to the need of the time. But unfortunately, Rasa theory has no remarkable development or upgradation in last hundreds of years. Though the fact that it can be applied to modern literature only points to its universality, timeless quality, and its rich potential. These are the references. Okay, if you have any question.
Okay, Disha, was a good presentation. So my question to you that how one can apply Rus theory in absurd theatre? I know that absurd theatre is the part of our Rus theory because we have Vibhatsaras. But how audience can realize that Vibhatsaras in absurd theatre?
Yes, absurd theater, we can apply Ras theory on absurd theater, but I would like to add there is not only Bibhatsa Ras in this. Apart from Bibhatsa Ras, we have Bhayankar Ras as well. And when we will just look at the entire play and we will try to understand the concept or the question given by questionable work given by Samuel Beckett, then Beckett on that particular Waiting for Godot, then we will realize, we will start thinking about it, start worrying about it, and somehow it will create terror, bhayankar ras. In a way, it can be related.
But how one can know that it is the Bhayankaras? Because when, as a audience, when I started watching Waiting for Godot, I was a blank, totally blank. So at that time, I didn't realize that Bhayankaras. So is that play able to, or we can able to apply that theory in Waiting for Godot, or Strange Boy of Western World?
Yes. For Waiting for Godot, you said that you did not realize that you feel Bhayankar Ras, or you cannot realize it. There can be two reasons. First, you are not aware about Ras theory. You means anyone who is watching
But
the
play
drama.
is for the audience now. But audience
That's
have
what
a-
I am trying.
audience
That's
have
what I am
idea.
trying to say. That if the audience is not aware about Ras theory, and this is the task of the critics of the society. If there is one movie and the audience will go there and watch it, audience will not say that this is feministic, this is this, this is this. This is the task of the critics, I think. So they will put this kind of criticism, this kind of arguments open for all. Any other questions? Anyone else?
Yes, Disha, it was nice presentation. My question is that could you provide an example of Rasa theories applied to analyze a specific work of art in Indian English literature, a specific work?
Yes, Hayavadan is there. Actually, my presentation in RNSL conference was also on analysis, rasa analysis of Girish Karnad's Hayavadan. I cannot give you the example of entire work, but let me give one example of one scene from Hayavadan. There is one scene when Kapil, Devdutt, and that Padmini were going for a trip through jungle, and that Padmini feels attracted towards, or feels like I should have this flower. Falls in love with that flower. So Kapil goes there. Devdutt could not, but Kapil goes there and try to fetch that flower for Padmini. And when Kapil was climbing the tree,
that expression, that dialogues of Padmini, like how graceful he is. I don't remember exact words, but she was just describing the physical attire of that particular, not we can say lover, but couple. That is what Sringar Ras we can attach with it, like that garden or that flowers are the Alamban Vibhavs, Udipan Vibhavs, we can say that attractive body or masculine body of couple is the Alamban Vibhav for this leading towards the Sringara Ras, and that particular expressions, that language, that dialogue by Padmini is, we can say, Anubhav, and it will definitely lead us towards the experience of love. And if we relate obstacle to this particular sin, then we can say that we will not lead towards the experience of Sringar Ras, as in our society, in Indian society, as you have taken that Indian English literature, in our society, the love, the Sringar Ras is attached only for husband and wife. If wife is attracted or interested in someone else, we will criticize them, we will not experience Sringar Ras.
Well explained, Disha. And I have one more question on debate
Yes.
what are going between you and Nidhi. Once she said that she haven't feel that rust, and you answered that you are not aware about it. So the question is in my mind that if person is not aware about it, then it you means that they can't feel that rust.
No, they will feel, they will realize that particular rust, but they do not know that I am feeling that kind of rust.
They don't have knowledge about it.
They do not have that particular tongue. If our mother is talking about like that transgender, if they come across in our street, they will respect them, but they do not know that I am supporting LGBTQ, but they are doing that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Sorry, it is the last presentation of the day. So today's my topic in general area is about eco-criticism. Let me share my screen first. Yes, it is taking some time to opening. So what is eco-criticism? As we all aware about the term, that the study of man and nature in literature. What are the roots of eco-criticism? So the very term eco-criticism is coined by William Ruckert in 1978 in his essay titled Literature and Ecology, an experiment in eco-criticism. If we look at the etymology of eco-criticism word, so eco, the word root come from the Greek word that means oikos, and logi means logos. So the total meaning, all the meaning of the eco-criticism is that criticism of the house, the environment as represented in literature. According to Ruckert, eco-criticism applies ecology or ecological principles into the study of literature. And Lawrence Bull, in his work, said about eco-criticism that it is a study of relationship between literature and environment conducted in a spirit of commitment to the environmentalist praxis. Various critics have gave different definitions about eco-criticism. The Glotfeltian from who considered as the pioneering of eco-criticism after William Ruckert. he says about eco-criticism is that it is the study of relationship between literature and the physical environment. Jonathan Bett also expresses his views towards the eco-criticism, and he also addressed that it is the local version of the question: what is the place of creative imagining and writing in the complex set of relationship between humankind and the nature and the surroundings? Now it is said that there are two explained by Lawrence Bull in his work The Imaginative Eco-Criticism, Thorough Nature Writing and Formation of America. In that work, he described two waves of eco-criticism. The very first is in 1980s, and he said that this eco-criticism is based on the relationship between nature and environment, while the second wave happened in 1990s. It explained that broadening the reaches of environmentalism. Eco-critics of this wave redefined the term environment to include both nature and urban areas and challenge the distinction between human and non-human, the distinction between nature and non-nature. There are three phases of eco-criticism described in Cheryl Blotfeld's work. Um, and in that, he said that three phases. First is study of nature, representation in literature. That is the very first phase of eco-criticism. Second is recovery of nature writing text. Writers are writing about nature and depicted the environment and surrounding in their works. And third is about analysis of symbolic construction of species and discourses that construct the human and genders and develops theatrical frames for reading text. So these three phases are given by Charlotte Blotfeld and Harold Fromm in their work. Now, nature, eco-criticism include nature. We all know that nature here means the whole of physical environment consisting of the human and the non-human. The interconnection between the two creates bond, which is the basis of eco-criticism. Al- As long as there is a harmony between the living and non-living things, man and nature, there are prevails a healthy ecosystem for the benevolence of mankind as well as the earth. And Frederick, in one of his essays, says that the modern ecological consciousness has a feeling that the balance between human and nature world must be maintained. Frederick also said that, and we also can agree that the balance between man and nature should be maintained. So we can balance the eco-criticism in our world. Nature versus culture. Peter Berry, in his beginning theory, said that one of the implicit goals of the eco-criticism is to rethink the relationship between culture and nature. We all aware about the Hardy's Wessex and the Arkanara Malgudi. They both have created their own nation because they are living in that particular nature, particular surrounding, and they have depicted their works and included their works in Wessex and that Malgudi. So the nature is ultimately connected with the culture, in which culture we are living. The Nature in Eco-Criticism reader by Charlie Blotfeld, it is said that the nature environment is now replaced by the built-up environment. Our global crisis is not because how ecosystem function, but it is because how our ethical system function, where we are living, what rules we are regulating. According to Glenn Love, he says about eco-criticism that it is focuses on the interconnection between the material world and the human culture, specifically cultural artifacts, language, and literature. So it is not only connected with nature, but it is also connected with our culture, where we are living. Sustainable development. Again, Frederick says about development that the most common measure to tackle environmental crisis is sustainable development. And eco-criticism also advocate development for a better future of mankind in general. And this is the limited sources about how the organism have their right to survive in their own way. Eco-criticism as an interdisciplinary approach. We all know that this approach is very wider approach. It is an umbrella term. It contains many approaches: science, history, or culture, or ethics, Ecocriticism is an intentionally broad approach which is by its very nature interdisciplinary. It draws a sustenance from the existing literary theories. Ecocriticism include post-colonial ecocriticism, ecofeminism, eco-Marxism, spiritualism. These all are coming in the light of ecocriticism. But it differs from the other theories in that while all of them consider Earth as a social sphere, ecocriticism consider it as an ecosphere. So it is differ in this term. In short, it is earth-centric approach. Ecocriticism is an earth-centric approach to literary studies, which promotes the understanding of who we are, where we stand, and how we should behave with our mother nature. So it is said that ecocriticism is a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach. Now, what ecocritics do? What are the responsibility as a eco-critic? So it is said that eco-critic, in order to meet this present environmental crisis, the eco-critics play an important role in building up the eco-consciousness among the readers. For this, they read major canonical writings. They look at the natural world differently than others. This is the responsibility of eco-critics. They shifts our critical attention from the inner consciousness to the outer. These all are eco-critics. What eco-critics can do are taken from the eco-critical reader. That is the pioneering work of eco-criticism. They reject the belief that everything is socially or linguistically constructed, believes that nature really exists beyond ourselves, but is with us, affect us. Apply growth and energy, sustainability and unsustainability, balance and imbalance to view nature in literature. Now, world eco-literature. Eco-criticism and eco-literature is spread all around the world. But it is said that the three major American writers whose works celebrate nature as a life force and wilderness manifested in America. And among them, the three are Ralph Waldo Emerson, Margaret Fuller, and Henry David Thoreau. This trio belonged to the group of New England writers, poets, essayists, novelists, and philosophers, collectively known as the Transcendentalists, and their work are based on the nature. The first major literary movement in America to achieve cultural independence from European model. So, though there are many writers who focused on nature and eco-criticism, but these three are considered as the trio and major American writers. Now, if we look at the eco-criticism in India, the very beginning of this writing come from the Rabindranath Tagore and his work Karabi and Muktadara. Apart from this work, he also write poetry that is focused on the nature and natural environment. That is, tame bird was in a cage, a plucked you flower. Then Anita Desai's work Fire on the Mountain is also focuses on the eco-criticism. These all writers and in their work are around the nature and they have depicted the nature or surrounding in their work. For example, Amitav Ghosh that I have selected in my research is The Great Derangement, The Hungry Tide and Gun Island also represent climate change and the eco-critical degradation in eco-criticism. These are my works cited. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good presentation. So my question to you, how does eco-criticism challenges the traditional norms of the human nature relationship in a literature?
Okay, eco-criticism. For that, we have to first shift our focus from the human centric to the nature. If we have to build eco-criticism, then we have to shift first our focus. It include our culture also ethics. Ethics means it is our responsibility to do focus and to care of nature and to be connected with the nature. Then we can also take more importance to our culture where we are living. In short, by giving importance to nature, we can become we can challenge this tradition of notion of nature and human relationship. Something. Yes, any other question?
Yes, there. It was a very nice and interesting presentation. My question is, how can we differentiate what is the difference between green studies and eco-criticism?
Yes, green studies and eco-criticism. They both are, if we look at the one angle, they both are the similar term, but in eco-criticism, we are more focusing on the relationship between nature and environment. We are interconnected. As we said that it is eco-criticism, we are, man and nature are interconnected. But if we look at the green study, then it is the study of literature, it is the study of man and nature, but it more specified. It is focus on our culture, focus on ethics, and it is focus on science, history, all these things. So green study is more specified than eco-criticism. Thank you.
Okay, so it was quite good and well prepared presentations by everybody. Tamsa's on censorship was good, and you concentrated on the child pornography, where it becomes very problematic whether we can think of completely open the idea of freedom of expression or freedom of speech or not. So there are still some spaces in our society where we are very selective in giving freedom of speech. So sometimes we feel in a given time or a given moment that so and so kind of liberty is harmful to some extent to the society or something. So that also is a very interesting aspect of studying, that what we consider really bad, and we agree as a society to impose censor on. And then when we historically have a look at that idea, we can see that what was that sometime 500, 1000 years ago, which those people thought that should not become a part of public discourse, and censorship should be there. But today we think that it was narrow mindedness. And then what we think today collectively, this should be censored, but all what possibilities are there that in coming days people may accept that as a narrow mindedness of 21st century people. So that is where historically we try to locate the discourse in this debate also. So that was a good point where questioning is required. Reena also well presented on human rights, and you are dealing with Afghanistan literature. So Islamic culture, the Muslim countries, and how things becomes a bit difficult. Many of these ideas of human rights, they come from Western world, and there is that conflict of a sort of liberal way of looking as a concept of Western traditions, and then there is Eastern traditions which come in conflict with this. So that also becomes a major concern, that to what extent one society or one culture thinks of human rights, and for others not allowing that also is a human rights. So in the name of protecting the people, they think of human rights, and the other people say that allowing freedom is human rights. So this becomes a conflict of different worlds, the East and the West, the Orient and the Occident, the religious differences that also come into play when we think of human rights. United Nations, by and large, is controlled by the Western world, the first world. A few selected 5, 6 countries which are having a kind of a veto power in United Nations. So many people many times may question that Nation is also UN also is loop-sided towards the Western way of thinking about the world order. So that also can be the point of discussion in your research work. Nrupa also had a very good point on this muted group theory. So that's a good idea. Normally in feminist discourse, it becomes very important to see, but it can be applicable in all those societies, all those identities which were not allowed to speak or well not able to speak in different way. So from can the subaltern speak, as Gayatri Spivak argues, but here how they are muted, and language plays a significant role. Language, through language, how the groups might be muted. That is a very interesting point. There are some critics also to this, critics of people who have some objections to this idea that it should not be gender specific only, like women are muted only in that way. And one of the critics gave a very interesting idea about this absence of father in parenting. So like when children are growing, they see mother around them, but many times in a different kinds of household or a work culture, before the children are awake, the father has gone for a work, and by the time the father returns again, the children are asleep. So they constantly see the absence of some identity or some people in a family. And so when somebody says that, well, only the mother is a caretaker and father is not, they readily agree with that idea. That my experience also is like that. That my mother was around me, but my father was always absent. But when he was absent, he was also taking care financially, taking care of the household, kind of a thing. So that also is a muted group. That how in our experiences, some groups or some people, some identity might be muted also. But it is proven, so far as language is patriarchal, the feminine voices are quite significantly muted, and they have to struggle a lot to find the space and find their language for articulation. Elaine Scholt, that's why is asking about towards women's poetics also. So that poetics is Aristotelian one, which is patriarchal poetics. So how one has to go towards this, that becomes an important point. Nidhi also very well talked about queer cinema, and cinema is getting mature now also, as the queer identities came there behind camera, or they started writing the cinema, directing the cinema. They now started taking that more seriously also. So that is a good way of looking that once those identities come in power, to write about the things, to speak about the thing, then they can give a better space to those arguments. Otherwise, it is not possible. So far as the other will talk about the other, there will be some gap in that. The self narration in that is playing a significant role. Disha on Rasa theory, and also very challenging to find the relevance of Rasa theory in contemporary times. So, what are the arguments which are given and how it can be seen in that context? So, even like any of the work, like absurd theater, the question that was asked, or other concerns, modern play, modern cinema, reading literature, watching play, different way we absorb literature. So when I watch what I feel, and can that the same feeling be achieved when I read literature? So what difference does it bring in when I'm not watching the play performance, but I'm reading the play, and what amount of rasa nishpati is possible? What is the readiness of the reader or audience? That is very important. So when we ask a question that when I see a play, I don't feel anything. So it means that there is lots of things that Natya Shastra speaks about audience also. If the audience is not ready for the thing, then Rash Nispat is not possible. So that readiness on the part of audience also is very important. So if my tests are not for that particular thing, then I will not feel that. As people say, because food is the central metaphor. Bharat Muni also talked about food, ras. Like we have a cuisine, our thalis are normally having so many ras. Our thali is not solo, like you don't eat only sweet. And but it is all kind of swad is included in a thali. So you have 2-3 kinds of vegetable, 1 or 2 kadi or dal, chapatis, and some pickles are also there. So we have variety of swad in a thali. It is not solo. Like you eat only tikha one day, the next day you eat only meetha. It's not like that. Everything is mixed together, so that Work of art is also like that. It can never be solo, only tragic or only comic kind of thing, but mixture of. That is the difference between Western notion, Aristotelian notion, and the Eastern way of looking at the work of art. The mixture of those all things there. So when we have already have this metaphor of food, very central when he explains that, he also uses this metaphor. So we can say that today, if I want to have a taste of continental food, then if I have not developed the taste, I will not like it. I have to first develop the taste for continental food. Then only I will be able to enjoy that. So audience readiness in Rus is very important thing. Yes.
Sir, as a teacher, I have explained that this generation, the students, they don't have interest or they are not showing us in all these things. Like I am teaching literature to them. Any poetry, any chapter is there, then they feel bored. So how we can develop that interest?
Yeah, very difficult task you have to see. So what they are interested in, what,
Just useless things like watching videos that is so useless, like if someone is playing with the science and all that kind of the videos they can watch in hours and hours. So why this mentality? With not only one class, I have seen in many, observed in many schools, and it happens with many students. So what as a mentor we can do? What are the steps we have to take?
Yeah, students are also interested in what the examination question, like the examination.
Yes, you
We
just
will
give
prepare on that. We more interested in it.
No,
They will
not
not mug up and not prepare also, just mug up all these things and on the paper.
in the paper also. Yeah. Yes. You're right. Normally, the students, when we see, they have they are not there for aesthetic delight. What is the purpose of schooling or colleging? The purpose is what marks you get, what society values. They at the end of the year, they will always see that whether you have passed or not. They will never say, "What have you learned?" You have failed, no worry. You learned something, that is good. That dialogue is not there. So what by and large society expects, that is what people will do as a performance.
So it is not wrong practice that society is doing.
As a social level, it is wrong. At a social level, it is wrong. But you are not able to find an alternative to that. What is an alternative to that? So if you don't perform in exam, you can't progress. That is what design. So unless you don't do away with exams, people will always concentrate on exam idea. And doing away with exam in a mass education is more dangerous, because then people will not study at all. Because exam also drives people to study, and like 80, 60, 50, whatever percent they study for exam and they do. If you remove that, then hardly 10, 20% who is really interested in education will do that. Otherwise, they will not do that. So you can say that education is something that is not natural to us. It is our cultural construction. The entire system, entire, as Marxist would say, it is an ideological state apparatus to discipline the people into a particular way of living a life. So it is not natural. So when something that is not natural to us and we try to mold into that, it is always a difficult process. It is never going to be easy. So with the changing time, things keep on changing. Today, it is a time of digital platform and reels and other kinds of things. Shorter versions of things, small beats. The information in the beats is what people want. So one of the theories of education also says that use game theory, or use the space which is liked by the learners. So if learners want to learn in garden, teachers should go in garden and teach with that method. And then bring them back into the class or to the height of doing the things. But that idea that, so teachers will also have to work on preparing reels, shorter versions of the thing which they are interested, and then deal with those things also. And then slowly and slowly it can be brought to the higher version of the things
I have
also.
experienced that thing that they how to write all exercise from the board. 7, 8 standard students. So once I taken permission and made a blog of that whole exercise and shared with them. Now they keep on telling that, ma'am, don't write on a board, just share the blog, we will write at home. So they are habituated with mobile phone and they are like to do the things whatever related to the mobile.
The mobile. Yes, and at the childhood age when these things are given, it is dangerous also because it is so addictive for attention deficiency. The attention is diverted. So then at a mature level, things may be understood by the learners, but at a childhood level, they may not understand also. And most of the concentration will go towards watching other things in the name of doing homework. So they get an excuse from parents and teachers that my homework is in the mobile phone, and then they will be wasting their time a lot in doing the unnecessary thing or easily diverted towards watching the other stuff also along with this stuff that they do. So they will again fail to balance the time between the academics and other thing, and academics may become a reason or excuse for them to move on. So though people come with the idea that you give them device where you cannot go to open internet, but within the internet, so there is a portal where teachers upload their work and the link, but the internet is not open. So limited access to the digital platform is given to the learners, and then they can work on that. So if people like to work on digital rather than physical pen and paper, then that is given, but the device do not allow the access to the internet, where they may be diverted for watching other stuff, which will be consuming their time, developing a habit of mind which is harmful. As this social dilemma, the documentary has said, and it is a proven fact that social media and all these things are designed in such a manner that it is addictive to people. It is addictive. And so anything that is addictive like liquor or smoking or tobacco, in a similar way, this also is addictive. So if at a very younger age, immature age, if that is given, then people may not be able to understand the addictive nature of the thing. At a mature age, people can understand that I should not be addicted. I should use it for time management. Everything we can do that. But children will be problematic thing in that capacity also. So giving the thing, but how balanced manner it can be given, where people are not going out of the arena within which they are supposed to work. So if you see the platforms like Khan Academy, where they give video resources online, but they give parental control. So parents are able to see within their network portal that how many hours the students were, their children were on this and what they have done also. So that control is necessary. So when technology is open, you want to use that. So students love to watch and do the thing, but the fear about getting lost into that world also looms large. So what can be done? So some controlled systems are coming, parental control on technology, or teachers control on technology, or the devices which do not allow you to access everything. That also becomes necessary in this part also. But as a teachers, they have to constantly keep on looking at what is liked and not liked by the learners, and how their likeness can be utilized in the classroom, not in a way like you do only that only. Because we have to also see that learning or such kind of stuff is never going to be all entertaining only. People are never going to love education in that manner. Even as we have seen that if you allow people to watch films, but if you say that film is a part of syllabus, then they will not like it. It is for entertainment is okay. I entertain and I have to forget it. But exam, I have to remember it. And then somebody will ask me. What we dislike is that somebody asking me, somebody doubting my understanding. That is what we don't like. And so we stay away from the very examination system or question answer or even viva or interviews and other thing. It always gives some kind of flutter to us. That always happens. People naturally don't like such kind of a thing. That is where the real reason comes. So whatever is trendy, teachers should use it, but in a limited manner, thinking that from here you have to take them to some serious stuff. That should be the goal in the mind of the teachers also. So readiness for the audience, which is very important, whether it is teacher, student, because teacher is all teaching also is half theatrical things. Half is academic, is half theater. So if you are not a good performer, you will fail as a teacher. Teaching is more of a performance that you have to do, as drama is all about performance also. And finally, Daya also presented well on eco-criticism idea and how nature-culture debate, which is at the center, which is to be concentrated in this idea. Sherry Ortner's article, wherein she is connecting that idea with feminism also. So as the relation between culture and nature is the same way it is with patriarchy and feminism also. So how nature has been colonized by culture in that context, and how nature is normally portrayed with the words which are feminine. So how it becomes easy for a culture that is patriarchy to keep on exploiting and using nature for its own gratification. So that idea of culture versus nature is very interesting to be seen in this context also. Okay, so tomorrow we will have the last day and specific on your research area. You all are going to make presentations on this. We end today's session here.